when I do things, I want to do them right. And I get probably more frantic than I need to. Frantic's not even the right word. I just like, I just want to do it right. But I'm okay.
Does that mean you need to practice more self-compassion when it doesn't go right?
Yeah, probably, because I would say the same thing to someone else, mate. One day is fine, but when you do it for yourself, when I'm doing it for myself, I'm like, no, I really want it to be. If I do it, I do it right.
I like that. Because you know what? Actually, it's so funny because I was bringing up the notes for this podcast, and it really does run in line with what we're going to talk about today. Like self-compassion, self-love, love in general.
Yes.
And I just feel like it's so funny how we sometimes are so quick to offer support and compassion and empathy to other people. But the fact that you're saying, I want to do this right. I want to do this right for myself. And I absolutely love that you're putting yourself first, that you're able to do that. Welcome everybody to this podcast where we are discussing all things health and wellness. The great thing about our podcast, Unapologetically You, is we are using science-backed tools. We can put forward all this research and all this information that amazing people do and bring it to this podcast so you can use it in your life. Hopefully, it will instigate some thought-provoking topics so you can get motivated and speak to the people that you love about these topics. I love this topic today. I put forward an option to Kelly today and I said, let's put the theme of love. I've been seeing things about love everywhere. So I don't know if it's an omen. Yeah, I don't know if it's an omen.
I hope so.
I don't know what is going on. But basically, I've got this new book. 8 Rules of Love. Is it? Yeah, 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. If you're seeing this on YouTube, I've just given you a little bit of a preview. And so basically, I'm reading that. And I've been listening to this podcast. So a couple of, probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I clicked on this podcast and the title doesn't actually give away what the actual podcast is. So first I thought it was about affirmation. So Lewis House, if you're listening to this, happen to be listening to this with your millions of views up in LA in your mansion, I just want to say you need to edit the title. So I thought it was about affirmations and I was curious.
I did too.
I clicked on it.
Yeah.
And it was all about this podcast with Kanwar Singh. And he is the humble poet. So basically, he's having this conversation with Kanwar Singh about love. And I'm like, well, this was a beautiful surprise. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, right, let's discuss this in our podcast. So that's going to be a hot topic of the day. And just before we actually start, quick reminder, we are on Patreon. In order for us to enable this podcast to run and do what we do, we would really appreciate if you support us for the small price of a cup of coffee. And without further ado, you've heard her already. She is so phenomenal. Thank you, Kelly, for joining me today and us on this podcast. How are you?
I'm well. Beautiful introduction again. How are you?
I'm good. I'm all the more better for having this conversation with you. Like I was just feeling in a weird funk. And as soon as I have an interaction with you, like, you know how there's very few people who just make you feel good. And I'm so lucky. I'm so grateful that I'm able to have more of those people in my life. And you are one of them. Yeah, you're one of them that literally just, no matter what mood I'm in, like you just raise the vibration and all of a sudden, like I feel joyful.
Well, I'm going to say exactly the same thing about you. No, I think the two of us together bring that feeling. I can't bring it by myself, but yeah, the two of us together, it vibes.
But the funny thing is somebody said, what the good things you see in others is already within you. So it's almost like we're not really making each other happy. We're not making each other energized or better. We're just seeing that whatever's inside of us is able to flourish. It's able to
Ooh,
expand.
interesting. And I can see how that is true. I like that. Where did you read that?
I
You
don't
don't know.
know. I don't know.
Yeah,
If
I
my
love it
brain
though.
was so organized, it would have a reference list, but I'm
I
not that
know.
astute.
She's good, but not that good.
Yeah, I
All
need my
right.
notes.
Well, yeah, well, a little Miss Organized probably does have it written down somewhere. Let's be
It's
truthful.
in the filing cabinet. It's just not
It's
accessible right
somewhere.
now.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, but it's very common. So actually, I love this part of the
Mhm.
podcast because it gives me a little bit more information about what's going on in Kelly's life. What's your
Yeah.
biggest win this week? What has been your biggest
Uh,
win?
it's only Tuesday. Let's point that out. But so far, I have been journaling, as you know, and what I've started to do is I've found a podcast that said get some tarot cards, which I didn't have, but tarot cards are, I guess, traditionally used to people predict them, and you think of crystal balls and you think of all of that, but apparently, well, it started off as a game, but it has evolved to people shuffling them and telling the future based on the cards that come out. But somewhere in between that and a game, it was you pull out a card. You pull out 3 cards, or that's the way I've learned to do it anyway, based on this podcast. You pull out the first card and it tells you of something to focus on for today. You pull out the second card and it tells you a strength. And apparently, the 78 tarot cards are based on a strength that every human has. But if you pull it out and it's reversed, it's saying that upside down is reversed. You have this strength and you have the resources to get it, but it's something that you're lacking right now. So the second card that you pull out is your strength, or in reverse, a strength that you need to have and you need to work on it. And the third card you pull out is the bridge between the two. And the 3 cards, this is my first day of doing it, the 3 cards I pulled out today, I went, hee, like this will be fun. Oh, it was so true. It was so true. So I journaled about the cards and what the meaning was, but then what the meaning was to me and what that meant I could take action on doing. So that, to me, was a win. It actually gives me structure on what to
Yeah,
focus on, what a strength is, and how to integrate the two. It's a win for me.
love it. I
What about
love it.
you?
And so
Oh,
funny
yeah.
because I have my tarot cards
You
because
do?
I use it. Yeah, I use it for what do I need to focus on today? So it's pretty much like what is the
Yes.
intention of the day? I don't do it every day.
Okay,
I
yes.
almost do it for like guidance or if I'm feeling
Yes.
stuck, like what is my intention? What do you need me to focus on? So it's almost like I'm putting the onus outside of myself to a bigger, wider universe, right? And so
Okay.
I don't always shuffle, but I've ended up finding things that I most resonate with. And sometimes I just leave it next to my desktop or next to my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I've not put back in the pack is feeling good will bring me far more than what I thought I needed. So that's the card that is currently open and out in
Mm-hmm.
my desktop. And I literally just left it here. I've just left it there because I just think that it's kind of like it's on the theme of this hot topic of the day that we're going to discuss a little bit later in this podcast, the theme about love. It's like we don't need to earn the right to be happy. We don't need to earn the right to feel joy. Like we have
Mm,
the capacity to do that, but because of
mm,
society, and this is only my opinion, for
mm-hmm.
those of you who object to this, tell us in the comments, like, what are your thoughts about this? Because for me, I just feel like we've been conditioned that we need to work hard for this. We need to strive. We need to hustle. We need to grind. And we've said this earlier in our podcast season already. And I feel like I had that narrative of it's a bit like love, right? I need to strive and I need to work hard to earn the person's attention and affection. And
yes.
you need to work hard at a relationship, and you need to work hard at communicating. And there's the reward of love at the end. And this applies to everything in society, right? Work hard, get that car, work hard, get that house. And this is where the last two podcasts, when we talk about manifestation, is you don't need to work hard for it. Like, you are already unconditionally loved. You are born unconditionally loved. And that's where I think that, like, changing that narrative has definitely helped me. So, next question. What's made you smile? And what's your intention for this week?
Oh, okay. So what made me smile? Same thing, but let me try and think of something else. It's my daughter's birthday next week, and the present I ordered for her is getting delivered tomorrow when it says it was going to be delivered after her birthday. We celebrate the little things here, T.
I love it. Is she going to open it before her birthday, though?
No. Oh. It'll just be ready for her birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. So, no,
you get
I
to just appreciate the box, and then that's
it. No, she does not get to open it beforehand. But the thing is that it will be here on her birthday. She won't have to have a birthday without the gift that she wanted. So, yeah, that's what's made me. In fact, it really made me smile. So that's not something I've made up. That's truthful. I got the email and I went, yes.
Oh,
yes,
yay.
Australia Post. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so what made me smile? I wasn't going to bring this up, but I happened to write this down. And you know how these questions, I don't think in advance, right?
Yeah.
This is off the cuff. I had this wonderful message, and this is probably like going against everything we're going to talk about later in the hot topic of the day.
Okay.
But the thing that made me smile is I had a wonderful comment on my YouTube channel. So I'm growing slowly, it's evolving. And this comment just literally made me smile and feel warm inside. So thank you so much for Resident No Evil 5. I'm just going to shout you out because they said, this is such an underrated channel. You deserve million subscribers, as it's just dumb. YouTube doesn't recommend good content. Lucky to have found your channel. Thank you.
That is great.
Yeah, it was really sweet. And then I looked at that and I was like, I love the fact that this person has found this channel, so that obviously the algorithm is working, but also that I'm able to help that one individual. Like, it's great when I want to create this sense of community, and I want to introduce, self-love, body love, meditation, mindfulness, mobility, strength conditioning, all on my channel. But the thing is, it's one person that makes a difference too, right? If I can help another person and then they can help another person, and it's just that energy that you're all vibrating, right? So the fact that I had that message today, and my intention, I don't know, what's your intention? Did you tell us in that tarot?
Yeah, I think so. It was to it was. So the first one was work out whether your desires are realistic or unrealistic, and to make sure there's a transfer of energy between what you want and how to get it. So the transfer of energy can be a money transfer, or it just said make sure that you're not just buying lottery tickets, because that's just wishful thinking. That's not a transference of energy. And I'm like, well, that's cool, because I'm not doing that. And then the next one was my strength. My strength was abundance, actually, but abundance, very similar to desire in a way. It was just like making sure that, you are doing something, taking steps toward abundance. And the third one that I pulled up was, I can't remember what it was called. Oh, it was the 4 of water, the 4 of air, the 4 of water or something. But it said, it gave me like tools. So clear the clutter on your desk, which my desk is tidy. Clear the house, like the house is my house. I love tidy, so you could eat off the floor if you wanted to. But those two things are done. But then it said, but time budget, make a time budget. And I'd never heard that before, but it's interesting, isn't it, that those two words make it seem different to me, to diarize or just, put in the calendar. Time budget meant more to me. So I'm like, yeah, that's my intention. I'm going to time budget my day.
I love that. I love that.
We'll
Well, it
see.
was
I'll let
so
you know how it
funny
goes.
because my
Yeah.
Monday started with my intention. So, I was saying I was in a bit of a funk. So, and like not a big deal. Like it happens, right? Motivation dwindles. It's not consistent. So then yesterday I was like, had a few days off just to kind of like get myself organized. And I like having days off because it gives me more motivation to go back into work. But the only thing is during the weekend, I kind of went all out on social media. And because obviously I'm trying to grow my channel and like build up my IG profile. And that's Tulsi.coach, by the way. I didn't plug last podcast.
You can put it in the show notes.
Sure, does that mean I can plug twice today? So
I think it
basically,
does.
anybody who wants to follow me, it's Tulsi.coach on IG. Anyway, what I was going to say though was I just felt like that because I normally have that weekend where I don't focus on work, because I did focus a lot on work, I think I just felt that little bit of a there's lots of things that I need to do, but I don't want to do them. And so yesterday I was like, right, the first thing I'm going to do is get my calendar, actually start from the beginning of the month and just go, what is my priority for these days, right? Or what is my priority for this week? And also, where am I away? Because I've got a few events planned and things like that. And so as soon as I did that, I was like, I reminded myself, I get to do what I love. And there's going to be moments where I'm not going to want to edit, or I'm not going to want to do the podcast stuff, or I'm not going to want to do this. Yeah. But you know what? I had 4 priorities and I nailed the productivity yesterday. So I was like, that's the intention for this week, is just go through the habits, because it's the habits that are going to take you to that next level, going to keep you moving forward, rather than focusing on that motivation where you're all in, right? So I was like, I'm really, really happy that I just took those initiatives of, like you do with your journaling, Kelly. It's like, what is the intention of this week? What am I aiming for? And then going through the processes of, having those calendar, having the blocks out of your calendar going, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, and sticking to it. And I worked out 4 times yesterday, including a walk. So I'm including a walk in that.
Oh, you mean like physically worked out?
Yeah.
I was thinking you worked something out.
Good. No, I worked out my body. I was moving my energy. I was able to kind of like get into a space where I was feeling good. And then that transferred into focused, productive time within a small amount of time. So like the amount of stuff that I did throughout the day, I'm like, go me, like we need to self-promote a little bit more. And obviously the whole hot topic of the day is all about love, right? So I feel like this is kind of like a theme already of what we talked about with the intentions and what makes us smile and things like that. So it's so funny as well, because there was so much going on in that podcast, and it was almost like there was too much to almost talk about. So we're just going to pull themes and just have a bit of a discussion. Does that sound good?
Yes. Okay. Sure does, ma'am.
So then I like one of the things where it says, there's a couple of things actually. It says, love is working with yourself, keeping promises to yourself, choosing love, and also I'd rather be loved than be liked. So I'm going to unpack some of these things, right? Because the person, the humble poet guy, he said, love is being disagreeable, risking being likable, includes boundaries, whereas being liked is chasing self-esteem, probably reducing self-respect. And it's so funny because when I said about what made me smile, or one of my wins, I had put, okay, this person had commented on my channel, and then I thought about it in context of this podcast. And I thought, well, it doesn't matter whether they like it or they hate it. Like, it should be both the same, right? It shouldn't be an elevation when you love something, and it shouldn't be a massive drop when you don't like something somebody says. Well, it doesn't really matter what they say, as long as you're putting out, and this is the intention for the channel, am I putting out good content? Am I helping others feel good about their body? Am I shifting their energy into movement so they can feel productive and focused in their day? Am I bringing that high level of energy in that video? And it doesn't really matter how it's going to be received, because actually I've got people in my life who love me. I have never been in this position where I truly love me. And so actually it doesn't really matter how many millions of followers or how many likes I get on a social media post, because that's so superficial. What do you think?
Why don't you think you've ever been in a position where you loved you? Is that because you've never thought about whether you loved you? Or I think you and I also grew up in an era, well, certainly in Australia, people used to say that this, but people would say, oh, they love themselves, as an insult.
Yes.
Was that an
Yes.
yeah? In
Yeah.
England too, right?
Yeah.
So you would try not to be a lover. You would try not to be someone who appeared to love themselves. I wonder if that plays a part.
It's so funny because when I was younger, I this obviously sticks in my memory because I still remember it and I'm recalling it. But in terms of, there's this one of my friends, we were just kind of hanging out after school, or it might have been a weekend, I can't remember. And we were just kind of huddled in a girl group. And she said, do you think you're pretty? It was just like a conversation about confidence and pretty and attractiveness. Okay. And so I had a thought. I paused. I didn't react or respond straight away. And I just paused and I said, my best friend at the time in high school was admitted into a retreat, or as like a what is it? It's like a hospital or a therapy for being anorexic. So she was actually diagnosed as anorexic, and she had to take time out of school, and she'd gone basically out of school to go get help regarding her anorexia. And so for me, I thought about her before answering. And when I answered, I said, yeah, I do think I'm attractive, because I was trying to remember the things I appreciate about myself and not be so self-critical. And it was kind of like that, oh, you're so smug. It was just a look of, oh, you think you're pretty? Because what, if I had said no, I wasn't, then it might have been like, oh, but you are. It's
I know.
Like, why are we looking at other people's approval and opinions when
it
doesn't matter? And I think the reason why I said I never felt I loved myself is because society never allowed it to be okay. And I feel like now society allows it to be okay. And the funny thing is, I was listening to Drew Barrymore, absolutely love her. So she had said in her show, the Drew Barrymore show, she said sometimes she asks the audience of, who here is married? Raise your hands. And they're like, woo. Who here is single? And they're like, there's so much louder and there's so much whooping and there's so much noise. And she was like, but why do we also ask our friends, oh, you single? Oh, don't worry, you'll find someone. Why
they're clearly happier.
Exactly. We're clearly happier. Because actually, why are we putting the conditions of, you need to find a job, you need to be in a great successful house, or have this nice car, or have a partner in order to be successful? Like, We've
just been conditioned to it.
Exactly.
You don't need to.
Exactly.
Yeah. And historically, I would say the women who did not marry were strong women, quite strong women for the time, and often were healers or worked in that environment and were considered witches, maybe, but something of that genre. But the name that they would give, I don't think that's called this anymore, but women who didn't marry were called crones. That's so
bad.
Hello, crone. Yeah.
I'm laughing because it's so awful.
It's awful. So even then, even though they were a strong woman with a career, could support themselves without being married to someone who, we're talking years and years, hundreds of, well, it doesn't even have to be 100 years ago, but that's what I was referring to, hundreds of years ago. Women married men they didn't like, let alone love.
Yeah.
for
Just because they're
security.
married, right? And they could
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
completely unhappy. And you know what I said? I had this
Mm.
conversation on the weekend with Siobhan. She's a dear
Mm.
friend, and she actually appeared on two of our podcasts on one of the
She
seasons.
did.
Yeah. So she and I were having this conversation, and she said, "Do you think that sometimes I can't remember who said it, but we both basically said, um, oh, what was it? It was almost like when you're married, it's like, oh, why are you single? Don't worry, you'll find someone. You need to, like something will happen, or go out there, put yourself out there, get somebody just because then you feel valued and loved, right? But it's like, well, wait a
Okay.
second. Is it because they're so unhappy in their marriage? They're like, they look far too happy. They're single and enjoying and
I've heard
loving
that
life
before
and this
too.
freedom,
Yeah,
and they
everyone,
get to do what they
misery
want when they
breeds.
want. Actually,
Yeah.
that's way too happy for us. Why do we get them married?
I
I
know,
was
I'm
like, do
trying to
you
think
think
the
it's just
thing,
that narrative of
misery.
the, the married people are like, these single people are way too happy. They need to be less of them. Let's just put
Yeah,
them
let's bring
down
them down.
and
Bring them
think
down to
that this
our
is
level.
not a good state to be in. Whereas actually, there are so many people. And this is where I said, I actually feel like I loved myself more. And this is the first time in my life that actually I am single. And I love being in this position. Like I do get to just up and leave and do anything I want. I live by myself, so I get to be my own like state of messy or tidy or,
Yeah.
schedule my life. And I feel like that level of control is wonderful to me. Whereas before I used to try and control the uncontrollables, if that makes sense.
Mm, mm. You, in your position, can call it that level of control, but also that level of surrender. So when you say you're controlling how tidy the house is, for example, it's more like you're surrendering to it, like you're off, bringing it all in. I
I
surrender to
like
it all.
that. Okay, so here's
Yeah.
another thing, right? So
Okay. Put another
So
twist on
they
it.
also talked about Lewis Howes and the what's his name, Kanwar Singh. They
Mm-hmm.
talked about loneliness. So there is this narrative in society that if you're single, if you're on your own, if you're just kind of like even walking by yourself, like you're lonely. Oh no, they're so lonely. Lonely is such a form of punishment, right? It's almost like oh, well, you don't want to be lonely. You don't want to be by yourself. Whereas
Like
the
it's the worst
word
thing.
of
Ugh. Yeah.
solitude is actually accepted by society, but that means
Yes.
enjoying our own company. So the two things are still exactly the same. You're on your own. That is the definition of loneliness or solitude. You are on your own. But
Mm-hmm.
the way the society defines it of, oh, you're lonely, or you're sad, or you're unlovable, or you're friendless. And it's like, well, wait a second. No, I'm choosing to be in solitude. And in fact, I get to go it's empowering to actually go to a restaurant by yourself, go to the theater, going for walks by yourself, reading a book, doing meditation, like having the ability to be by yourself, be with your own
Mm-hmm.
thoughts is this level of growth that I don't think people like doing. I remember some like people. Guys, tell us in the comments below. Have you got a friend who's always in a relationship? Like, as soon as they break up with some person, they're in another relationship. They're in another relationship because they can't stand being on their own.
Or they never have and don't know how. And that can be a scary thing, I guess, when you've never been in that position before. But it doesn't mean you
Yeah,
can't do it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't
agree.
try.
What do you like doing on your own, like without the family or?
I love going to restaurants by myself. Now, I've done this mainly when I've traveled for
What?
work or gone to conferences. When I book in, I go, it's only me dining. Is that okay? And they're like, straight away, maybe they feel sorry for me. Of course, come, like, we'll look after you. You do, you get the best service.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh
Uh-huh.
my God, I need
You
to do this
don't?
more
Yes,
then.
you need to do it. But let them know you're dining alone. And I think that helps a little bit. But yeah, like they'll look after you. They bring you little treats. You get like a free drink. I know you do.
Maybe it's you. So basically, I went to Italy with my mum. This was a good couple of years ago. and she just wasn't hungry. And there's me going, I'm hungry. It's really late at night, but I don't want to go to bed hungry because I hadn't really eaten for
Yep.
hours. Like it was literally all day we hadn't eaten. She wasn't hungry, and I'm just like, okay, this is weird. Couldn't find anything local because it was in this secluded place in where were we? Oh, it's this famous place in Italy, and I seriously can't think of it. It's one of those things. Lake Como. So Lake Como is gorgeous, right?
God,
Absolutely
beautiful.
stunning.
No
But
idea. I've never been there.
oh my gosh, we need to make a trip. But it's just like it is pretty much in the middle of nowhere in terms of like there weren't that many restaurants open. So I just went down to the restaurant downstairs. Very fancy. Like it was already a 4 to 5 star hotel anyway. So like we were on the best views, like the best location.
Really?
And then I'm thinking,
get out.
how much for an appetizer? So I've got this menu in front of me, and I'm like,
expensive.
Okay, they obviously clear the side of the table where there's not a +1. So I'm just like, oh God, there's everybody else in the restaurant like coupled up or with somebody. And then I'm just like, okay, this is good because it's like triggers are good because it's asking you what's coming up for you. You're learning from these things, right? So then what I did, I was like, no, I'm going to be present. I'm going to be like in this moment. I'm going to do this so independent dining on your own thing. And then I'm like looking at the menu, and you know what I found as well, probably because of the price of it, but also because I was on my own, I enjoyed the flavors a lot more. Like we were in Italy. Italian food is just amazing anyway, right? I was able to just digest and take my time over the food. And that was the first time that, and they say don't read a book, don't do anything, right? Just actually be present.
Yes, be present,
is the
and
advice.
no distractions.
But what I did is I asked the waiter for a pen and paper, because that's when I started writing my chapter of conscious eating. So I just started scribbling, and it just came to me. And I was just like, I need to write this all down before I forget. And that led to obviously more chapters of the book being uncovered. But for me, I was just like, this is a different experience. Like more people need to do this and not feel like they're cast aside. And I think as humans, we want to be included. We want to feel like we're included, but we forget that we're not including ourselves. Like we think that we don't matter enough because we need somebody else to validate us or approve us or give us their opinion on how we look, how we dress, how we're acting. And we have to have that level of confidence within ourselves and self-love to go, I'm going to show up as me. I'm going to reveal who I actually am. And it doesn't really matter whether you like me or not, because I've got people that I love and I know I love myself.
Yeah. You know what? That story ended up so beautifully. I thought when you said you asked for a pen and paper that you were going to pretend you were a food critic. I was going to say that's one way to get good service, but it ended up way better than that.
Yeah, way better. So for those of you, second plug, those of you, my book will be coming out.
When? Do you know when yet?
No, it's still being edited, so it's still like going through the motions. I finished the final lot of edits yesterday, which again, it was one of the things I was really proud of. Like I did all the referencing and I had to redo all of the referencing, but it didn't actually take me as long as I thought it was. And that was one of the things I was like, yeah, go me. I put it on the agenda, I accomplished it. And like you tick it off your calendar and you're like, yeah, I'm glad I did that.
It is a good feeling.
Yeah.
Because you've got the cover now, haven't you?
No. I've got the idea.
Oh, you have not?
I've got the idea of it.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you actually had the print or the I know you've got the idea of it, but I thought you found the background or something.
I could Photoshop myself in a amazing sunset, but that's the idea anyway. I think I need to the agenda, the intention is to find a publisher who can actually kind of take it off my hands and help me publish it. But also what I found that these days people are very much focused on what's your audience size. So they won't even pick up an author unless they've got a growth in that area anyway. And so I'm just like, okay, well, that's fine. Universe is making its way and I've put in my order. So I just have to kind of like, like you do with the waiter, you put in your order. You don't go into
That's
the
right.
kitchen and say, chef, what you doing? Where's my order? Where's my
Yeah.
food? You
Yeah.
just wait
Yeah.
patiently until, it's supposed to arrive when it's supposed to arrive. You don't need to track it.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
order I've put in with the universe. So yeah.
Great analogy there, because you don't
Yeah.
go in and hassle the chef, and you do just wait till it arrives most of the time. Most of the time,
Hmm.
it you just wait. But yeah, great analogy. I like that too. So
Okay,
yes,
so
what was the plug? Books coming out soon.
yeah, books coming out. Well,
Okay,
it's being
this
edited.
year? Do you think this year?
I hope so. I definitely want it to
Yeah,
be
me
this
too.
year, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. But we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see. Maybe this will be
I
a
know.
podcast where we're like, well, she was talking about this.
I
Okay, so
know.
I want to backtrack back to a hot topic, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, because right at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
I said about earning love, right? That we don't need to earn love, that it becomes a default, that um something I don't think I am or I do anymore. Like I don't need to earn it. I don't need to have a happiness be earned. It already is. So, and I think that obviously our interpretation not only comes from society, but also the people around us, that our parents, right? How have they embodied their relationship? Um how did you compete with your siblings sometimes, or your parents, for their affection and their love? And I just want to ask you, Kelly, who are your
Mm-hmm.
models of love?
My parents.
Yeah.
Definitely. My grandparents as well. My aunts and uncles have all had happy. There's no divorces in our family, so um, that doesn't always mean happy marriages. But I do believe, in my case, that it does.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, wonderful role model. My parents and my grandparents. What about you?
The same. So even
Yeah.
though there's a whole book on like triggers and like overcoming obstacles and challenges, I think we all go through that in life. But I'm very lucky that I have got parents. And the thing is, I don't know if your parents did this. I was in high school and I remember this so clearly because they obviously did it a lot and it affected me. Whereas they would just like be like gentle and affectionate with one another and kiss one another. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, you don't want them to do that in public.
They
I
don't want,
know.
yeah, you don't know, but they didn't do it in public. They only did it when we were in the
Oh,
house, right? So they were
oh,
affectionate with
okay.
one
Oh,
another in the
definitely.
house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it was really, I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I do appreciate it now, that they are the symbols of how love has come about. And I feel like sometimes for me, it's probably been a hindrance. And I'm going to put it in two ways. Like it's been a hindrance because my expectation of love has been
I
now high.
know the
So there's
bar
been
is
a
so
culmination of
high.
Bollywood movies, Disney
Yeah.
movies,
Oh,
and my
yes, I
parents.
know.
So I've got
Yeah.
this whole like fairy tale, like rose-colored glasses images of love. And then when I didn't get that, I was very disappointed. But now coming out of that
Okay.
and actually reflecting on all of that, I'm like, I'm so blessed that they're still together, and I've
Yeah.
seen them through these challenges. Like they don't always get on. They've got their own challenges. And when you're younger,
Hmm.
you think your parents are superheroes, but you see these challenges in relationships. And I feel like I'm so lucky that I get to have them as an example of what love is
Yeah.
and what compromise is, what,
Yes.
sometimes sticking with one another, even despite heartache and challenges and obstacles. And did you see that in your parents too? Like it wasn't just
Oh,
idealistic, it was
no, of course it wasn't. I
working
mean, not
together.
every day is a diamond for anyone, even when you don't have that kind of, well, even when, they don't have that kind of marriage. But um, I do remember at some stage, whenever my mum and dad did have a word to each other in front of us, and I'm sure there were words deliberately not said in front of us, but if there ever was, straight away we're like, oh, please don't get divorced. And I'm like, oh, when are we going to get divorced?
Oh my gosh. Well, the thing is,
So
I don't know about you in your time. It was probably like still taboo, right? If anybody got divorced when we were younger, like it was still very much this is not a common thing.
No, it wasn't a common thing. No, no, that's true. And I did have friends whose parents were divorced, but it was, or did she die? Now I can't remember. I think her mum died actually, because I was going to say it was a very sad thing, which made me realize her mum had died. Very sad. Very,
Yeah.
very sad. So, yeah, no, divorce wasn't common really, but unhappy marriages possibly were. So, I'm not saying divorce is a bad thing or that it shouldn't be common. I think everyone deserves love, and in whatever
Yeah.
form they choose to find it in. And if you need to step away from a relationship because it's not working for you anymore, step away.
Agree. And that's a form of love anyway, right? You're putting boundaries
It
up
is.
because it's going, I love myself enough that I'm not able to tolerate this anymore, or I'm not putting myself in these circumstances or scenarios anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
absolutely.
so another interesting question I'm dying to ask you this
Okay.
is I
Okay.
remember this is a good couple of years ago. So Jay Shetty
Okay.
and Ashley Graham, the supermodel, they were talking about
Yes.
love languages. And
Yes.
it really brought awareness to what love language is because I was like, I don't know what that is. So what is
Mm.
your love language, Cal? How do you express it?
Uh, I can't remember all of them, so but to choose, and I think it changes over time as well. You know,
Agree.
when I was a young mum with three children, it was just a moment to myself. If you gift me time to myself, it made me a better mum, it made me a better partner,
Yeah.
you know. And now, I'm not a gift girl. Like you can gift me something and I really appreciate it, but if you give me your, is time one of them? Like
I
gifting
think so. It's
time?
that time
Yeah,
energy. Remember you talking about your
time and
intention for the
energy.
week, and you were saying, well, what's the intention for the energy that you're giving? How are you exchanging that energy? I feel like that's probably a big
Yes.
one for you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yes, give me your time or your attention or and and not all of the time and not whenever I walk in the room, but dedicate something for me, some
Mm.
time to me. I don't know if that's a particular love language, but
No, I
I do
think
remember
it is.
reading the book.
I think it
Yeah.
is, yeah, for sure. And also in this aspect, because we're not really looking at science-backed tools, even though I harped on about it in our podcast, we're just understanding what we want as individuals, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a right or wrong answer. It just needs to
There
be
is no
what
right
fits
or wrong.
us. Yeah.
And it can be a daily thing as well. So tomorrow, if my husband buys me a present, I'm going to be really happy. But today, yeah, I would say most of the time it is just make time in your day
Yeah.
to send me a text, send me a meme, send me a joke, send me, say something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
I
that.
like sending memes.
I love it.
Okay, so your love language, Togs.
Also, funny thing is, I used to express my love language as gift giving. So I was similar to Jay Shetty when he said, if somebody gives me a gift or I give them a gift, that was an expression of my love language. And then I realized,
Oh, you've frozen or are you?
yeah, I
Yes.
think it might have been a little bit
Yeah.
sticky there, but it's
There's a
weird
glitch.
because I
Yeah.
realized after putting onus on things and that I expressed as love, that was fine. I used it for a very, very long time. And
Yeah.
sometimes I understand other people's love languages is that way. So I think that there's a few people in my family who resonate with gift giving and receiving as their love language because they don't express it any other way. But now I kind of switched to your thing. But I'm a little bit of a mishmash of everything. It's almost like if somebody asked me
Mm,
what music do you like? I'm like, I like everything. And I really do. You
I
should see
know. So
my Spotify
diverse.
playlist. Like I'm such an eclectic listener, but it's the same with love now. So if somebody
Yeah.
gives me a gift, I'll appreciate it because I know that that's their form of love language. And I really do
Yes.
acknowledge that. But I'm also very much a give me your time. give me your attention, give me the space that we're able to connect. And then
Yeah, it's a
also,
gift.
I'm liking the physical touch as well. Obviously, it depends who it is. That,
Don't just
for
go and touch
example,
her.
well, say, for example, with my partner, I can then say, I'd like the physical touch between us, whereas I probably won't have it with everyone. But also, even with friends, like having the embrace of a hug, you know,
Yep.
releasing the oxytocin because you're able to embrace one another. Like even the people that you love, it's just giving them a hug
Yep.
and showing them that symbol of love. And I feel like, yeah,
Yep.
it's a combination between, it depends who it is, but it's definitely a combination between like gift giving, personal touch, time, energy, and being aware of all these things about how other people can receive it or the way they offer it sometimes, because not
Yes.
everybody can be vulnerable about what they want, right?
No, that's right. A lot of people wouldn't know the answer to that,
Yeah,
would they?
no,
So it would be interesting what people who listen to this could write down what, if they know what their love language is, if they've read the book. There's probably a few books on it now.
yeah. But no, I love that. Yes, please do comment. Like
Mm.
Kelly said, comment below. What's your love language? Tell us.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
Actually, yeah, that's going to be my health motivational tip of the day. I want you to tell someone you love them in whichever way that suits your love language. So you can tell them that you appreciate them. You can send them a text message. You can send them a meme. If it's Kelly, send Kelly a meme. She'll love
Send me a
that.
memes. I
Yeah.
do. I do.
Subscribe to my
Yeah.
channel on YouTube. I'd love
There's love. Yeah.
third plug of
Yeah.
the
Showing the
day.
love. Yeah. No,
So
that's good. That's good. And that is a great way to show love and support. I
I
do like that. You should.
agree. I
What's the
agree.
name of the channel?
Chelsea Vasani coach.
There we go. Good girl. It'll be in the show notes below.
Yes, it will be. That'll be a
It
good
will be,
reminder for
won't
me to
it?
put in. So, what's your health motivational tip of the day? Is it going to run on the theme of the hot topic?
It should.
It doesn't have to. It could just be anything. Could be pick up some tarot cards now.
Yeah. It actually really does give you, well, guidance is the word that came to mind, but it's focus. It gives you something to focus on. And it's not as wishy-washy as I thought it would be. I know some people have a true talent for reading cards. I don't have that true talent. So for me, it felt like if I was trying to do something that required the skill that I don't have, then I was just pretending. And I just thought, whatever I shuffle will be wishy washy, but it truly wasn't. So I'm going to say this course I'm learning to do about becoming getting to know yourself and getting, anyway, it's given me the focus. And the focus, again, doesn't have to be on the day. Like you said, you don't necessarily do it daily. This can be, and it probably will be for me, 3 days to a week's focusing only on that, because I don't think I've got enough time in the day to do much with it if I had a new focus every day. So I'm going to try and make it for a week. So for a week, I'll focus on this.
I
And
love
it would
that.
be great if other people could try it and just let me know
And you know what?
how they
You're
go with it.
aligning with your own intuition and your own resonance with something. So the fact that you're resonating with these cards that popped out is because it's almost like you're just asking for more clarity in the areas amongst all of the distractions. And if loads of people are distracted by, the people around them, their work, the extracurricular activities, their hobbies, trying to make time for themselves and the ones that they love, that actually maybe you just need to narrow down that focus and just to have the external guidance that you already knew, you just couldn't unpack as easily because there's a resonance with you when you saw the card, is just to go, this aligns with me. I'm willing to take that little bit of a proactive focus, attention on this area, and I'm willing to let this expand. And yeah, I love the fact that I feel like you're intuitive anyway, but that just gives you access to just listen to yourself, because it doesn't really
Oh,
matter about what anybody else says on this earth. It matters what you think.
yes, yes. Because if you have pride in what you do, or pride, if you're happy, if you're proud of yourself as a person, then that comes out of you in the things you do, the things you say, the way you act, the way you respond to people, everything, so many things, maybe not everything, but so many things about you change.
Agree. And you know what? Just to kind of like end with this forethought on the back of what you said is, you know how when you're in love, like I want everyone to think about a time when they've been in love. Didn't the world just look that little bit more brighter? Didn't the sounds, when that they were just that little bit sweeter? Didn't everything just seem insignificant? Because everything that you saw and you felt and you heard was love. So you're
Yeah.
embodying that. So you don't end
Yeah.
up, feeling anxious or agitated about these small things. And because you're in this elevation of love, and how can we expand that elevation in whatever we do, whether it's cooking. I know you love cooking, Cal. You're putting love and energy and time and effort into this for your family, right? And they're eating it and they're absorbing all of that. So it's like, what are you doing to expand that love and be more in love? Because we're all deserving of it, and we are all unconditionally loved. So yeah, I think that's my add-on right at the end.
That is the end. That is beautiful. Nothing I
Well,
can add.
guys, thank you so much. Kelly, you've just been a joy. Thank you so much for elevating my day and expanding this love between us into this podcast. Guys, if you found this useful, please tell us, do you want more topics like this, or do you want more science-based information? Comment below. Share this with your family and friends. And we would love for you to be a part of this community. If you're not already, there's a Patreon link down below. You can support us for a small price of a cup of coffee. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you see our pretty faces, hit the notification bell. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Bye.